for forgiveness.
Morena kia koutou katoa. Welcome back to Breakfast. It is 16 minutes past 6. Ultra-distance cyclist Joanna Sharpe's a record breaker. Last year, she became the first woman to cycle the length of New Zealand in just under a week. That's 2,100 kilometres, all to help raise awareness for bowel cancer and to honour her good friend who lost her battle with the disease. And now she's hopping on her bike again to break more records, this time cycling Cape to Cape. But before she sets off on that challenge, she's joining me in studio. Morena, how are you?
Morena, Jenny May. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, look, it is our absolute pleasure. You are a bundle of joy. You're a beautiful human being for doing what you're doing in terms of raising awareness for bowel cancer. So let's talk about what you're doing first before we talk about the why, shall we?
Okay.
So you're going from where to where?
You're going to think
and then
it's
back.
Nuts. Yep. So
I already do.
we kind of thought we've done north to south, so let's go coast to coast. So we picked the furthest west to the furthest east points of the North Island. I think that's the widest. So from Cape Egmont, just by New Plymouth there,
yep.
Heading across through Bennydale, down the back of Rotorua, up through Apodaki and over to East Cape where the main road ends, so just before the gravel starts. Then we're going to turn around and come back again just because we can. So yeah, 1,200 k's, something like that.
I do think that's nuts, but this is you. This is what you do. This endurance cycling is something that you've done for a long time. So you're going to be starting on Friday?
Friday morning at 5 o'clock.
And how long do you think it's going to take you to get there and then back again?
I'm hoping, just between you and me, of course, I'm hoping I can do it in just maybe 2.5 days, under 3 days. I'd like to get back to Cape Egmont before dark on Sunday night. There is a current men's world record, but they rode a slightly shorter route, which I kind of think is cheating. So an American guy set a record in 2013, going from Raglan to the East Cape. So if I could get to Tiara at maybe, I don't know, 30-odd, just over 30 hours possibly, and then get back before Sunday night.
Okay, so here's the other thing as part of this too, is that how much rest do you expect to have in those 2.5, 3 days?
As little as possible. If I can, fingers crossed, what I'd like to do is get all the way to East Cape and back as far as Terahonga before I have a nap, and then take maybe an hour's nap max there. And then if I can manage that, I should be able to get all the way back with no more sleep. But if you remember from last time when we did the long white ride, so many things can happen, weather conditions, if you have to burn too many matches and use up more energy than you think, you know, maybe I'd have to have a 10-minute, 20-minute nap, maybe near Bennydale, but hopefully not. One sleep, that's the plan. And
again, this is all based on experience, right? Because you've been doing this for a long time. So can we talk about Brit? And because I know you have your own experiences with a scare with bowel cancer, but how this all started with your mate Brit.
Yeah, so I was fortunate to meet a wonderful girl. Her name's Brit Mill, and she was a cyclist. Through misdiagnosis for 6 years, she went to the doctors and they thought she was too young to have bowel cancer, didn't even mention it. So sadly, when it was diagnosed, it was terminal, and she passed away just before we did the long white ride last year. The reason we set up the long white ride was to do something to raise awareness for bowel cancer. And it just struck me that it's so needless, her passing. I mean, I know you've had your own experience, Jenny May, but in most cases, it's treatable. It need not be terminal. And having had such a positive experience myself, I just felt anything that I could do to raise awareness that maybe one family might think, oh goodness, I'm going to go to bowelcancer.org.nz and just check the symptoms. And if that helps one person not have the experience that you've had and that Brit's family had, then, oh goodness, I'll sit on the bike for weeks on end if that's what it takes. So hopefully, by doing this, it might just pique someone's interest enough to think, God, that woman's absolutely nuts. I might at least just take 5 minutes to check out what this is all about, learn the signs and symptoms of bowel cancer, and hopefully prevent a needless situation.
So how do people support what you're doing?
There's a couple of ways. I mean, personally, and for Bowel Cancer New Zealand, I know awareness is the biggest thing. So anybody who can take the time to go to bowelcancer.org.nz, check out what the symptoms of bowel cancer are, share those with your whānau. That's the best thing that any of us can do. But we have set up a fundraising page. Charities are finding it really hard, obviously, as we all are at the moment. And with events being cancelled, their fundraising efforts have struggled. So anybody who has $1, maybe somebody thinks, goodness, if she can cycle 1,300 kilometres, I can $5. I think you guys have got the link for our fundraising page. Thirdly and lastly, I've learnt from last year, people love a bit of punish. So if you'd like to, in ultracycling, there's a thing called dot watching. We've set up a link, which again, you guys have, and from 5 o'clock on Friday, you can click on the link. I'll be carrying a tracker, and in real time, you can see where I am across the country. So if that makes you think, far out, she's made it to Rotorua, you can get onto roadside because you can see exactly where I'm going. You can cheer me on, you can throw a cooked sausage or a biscuit at me going, you know, eat something, go faster, or whatever it might be. So those 3 ways to support us, huge.
We'll make sure that we get those links up. Thank you so much, Joanna.
Thank
Not
you.
only for being with us this morning to talk about your experiences, but for what you're doing in terms of awareness for bowel cancer.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you so much. Joanna Sharpe.